It is 22 November 1943, and the freezing fog of a moonless night clings to the cobblestone streets of occupied Copenhagen. A lone figure in a heavy woolen coat waits in the shadow of a bombed-out factory. A German patrol marches past, their jackboots clicking rhythmically against the stone. As the rear-guard soldier falls behind to light a cigarette, the figure steps from the darkness. He raises a bizarre matte black cylinder that looks more like a bicycle pump than a weapon. There is no deafening crack of gunfire, no brilliant muzzle flash to illuminate the alleyway. Instead, there is merely a mechanical click, a soft swoosh roughly equivalent to a heavy door clicking shut, and the soldier drops to the pavement. The shadow vanishes back into the mist. This lethal encounter is made possible by one of the most astonishing discoveries of the Second World War. When examining the 20 most amazing discoveries from World War II, we often focus on radar, jet engines, or atomic energy. Yet, the creation of a truly silent assassination weapon fundamentally shifted the paradigm of clandestine warfare, altering the fate of European resistance movements and redefining how espionage was conducted in the shadows. By the summer of 1940, the British military apparatus faces a seemingly insurmountable problem. Europe has fallen under the iron grip of the Third Reich, and conventional continental warfare has been rendered impossible. Prime Minister Winston Churchill famously commands the Special Operations Executive to set Europe ablaze, but conducting a covert war requires specialized tools that simply do not exist. Standard-issue firearms like the Webley revolver or the Lee Enfield rifle are devastatingly loud, producing deafening noise levels that regularly exceed 140 decibels. Firing a standard weapon in a quiet European city instantly alerts every patrol within a 1-mile radius, effectively signing the immediate death warrant of any resistance fighter attempting a targeted assassination. Previous attempts to silence existing weapons have proven disastrously inadequate. Attaching conventional sound suppressors to standard semi-automatic pistols or the Sten submachine gun only mitigates a fraction of the noise. The mechanical clatter of the slide cycling, combined with the supersonic crack of standard ammunition, means that supposedly silenced weapons still sound remarkably loud. The British needed a weapon that produced virtually no noise, could be concealed within a standard overcoat, and remained reliable enough to be dropped from aircraft into the mud and rain of occupied territories. It was an engineering paradox, harnessing explosive lethality while simultaneously achieving absolute silence. The solution emerged from the deeply secretive Station 9, a sprawling clandestine research facility located near Welwyn Garden City. Here, eccentric engineers and ballistics experts, led by Major Hugh Sykes, developed the Welrod. Unlike earlier designs which simply bolted a silencer onto an existing gun, the Welrod was designed from the ground up entirely around its sound suppression system. Weighing 1.5 kilograms, 3.3 pounds, and measuring 36 centimeters, 14.2 inches in length, it was a crude yet brilliant piece of engineering. The genius of the Welrod lay in its integral suppressor and its manual bolt-action operation. When the operator fired the weapon, the expanding combustion gases of the unique subsonic cartridge did not rapidly escape into the air. Instead, they were captured and slowed through a series of 18 finely machined metal baffles and thick rubber wipes housed within the main tube. Because the weapon was manually operated via a bolt-action mechanism, there was no noisy metal slide violently flying backward to eject the spent brass casing. The breech remained firmly locked shut, sealing the telltale sound of the gunshot entirely inside the steel cylinder. The result was a weapon that produced a mere 73 decibels of noise, roughly equivalent to the sound of a quiet conversation or a heavy book falling onto a carpeted floor. Manufacturing was decentralized to prevent German intelligence from discovering the operation, with the Birmingham Small Arms Company producing unmarked parts that were later assembled in secrecy. Although exact production numbers remain classified, conservative estimates suggest that roughly 14,000 units were manufactured during the conflict. If you are finding this fascinating deep dive into the hidden technologies of the Second World War interesting, a quick subscribe helps more than you know and allows us to uncover even more historical secrets. Operationally, the Welrod was a terrifying revelation for the Axis forces. It was aggressively distributed to the French resistance, the Polish Home Army, and Dutch clandestine networks. In the darkened streets of Paris and the remote Norwegian fjords, resistance operatives used the Welrod to quietly eliminate German sentries, Gestapo informants, and high-ranking officers. One notable, although heavily redacted, operation involved Danish resistance fighters methodically clearing checkpoints during sabotage missions at rail yards, dropping guards from point-blank range without raising a single alarm.
The psychological impact on the German occupiers was immense. Soldiers on nighttime patrols were gripped by paranoia, realizing that lethal threats could strike from mere meters away without a sound. Because of the deeply covert nature of the Special Operations Executive, official combat records are understandably sparse, and much of what we know comes from the memoirs of surviving operatives rather than standardized military action reports. When compared to alternative silenced weapons of the era, the British Welrod was undeniably superior. The American Office of Strategic Services attempted to field silenced versions of the high-standard pistol, but these still relied on a semi-automatic action that produced a loud metallic clank with each shot, and the internal suppressors quickly deteriorated after just a few dozen rounds. Meanwhile, German engineering focused on suppressed rifles for snipers, but these were unwieldy, heavily reliant on specialized subsonic ammunition that was rarely available, and completely unsuited for close-quarters espionage. The German attempt to create a concealable silenced pistol resulted in clumsy, bulky suppressors threaded onto standard sidearms, which ruined the weapon's balance and frequently jammed. The British Welrod succeeded precisely because it abandoned the need for rapid fire in favor of absolute silence and mechanical simplicity. Its design was so brutally effective that American intelligence agencies quietly adopted British stocks for their own clandestine operations throughout the European theater, tacitly acknowledging the superiority of the Station 9 engineering. The historical impact of the Welrod extends far beyond the scattered bodies of Axis sentries left in European alleyways. While it did not win the war in the same material way as the Spitfire or the Liberty ship, its psychological effect on the occupying forces was proportionately massive. It forced the German military to expend vast resources on securing rear echelon areas, terrified of a resistance force that could strike invisibly. The technological blueprint of the Welrod heavily influenced the design of modern specialized military firearms, proving that integral suppression and locked breech systems were the ultimate standard for stealth operations. Today, surviving examples of the Welrod are exceedingly rare, with a handful carefully preserved behind the glass of the Imperial War Museum in London and the Royal Armories. They remain a testament to a time when ordinary citizens were forced to wage war in the shadows. Let us return to that freezing, fog-drenched street in Copenhagen. The shadow retreating into the mist has not merely eliminated a single enemy soldier, he has shattered the German illusion of safety and demonstrated the lethal ingenuity of British engineering. Born out of desperation and forged in profound secrecy, this weapon solved an impossible engineering paradox by capturing explosive fury in a steel cage. The Welrod stands as a grim but brilliant milestone in clandestine warfare, proving that the loudest messages of defiance are sometimes delivered without a single sound. It is unequivocally one of the most astonishing technological leaps of the era, and a haunting reminder of the lengths to which free nations will go to reclaim the light. When we reflect on the 20 most amazing discoveries from World War II, we must remember that true innovation often whispers before it roars.